For more videos on people's struggles, please subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Hello and welcome to Around the World in 8 Minutes with People's Dispatch, a show where we bring you stories of struggles and stories of solidarity from across the world. First, we go to Argentina. In the primary elections, also known as the primary, open, simultaneous and mandatory elections, Alberto Fernandez of the Frente de Todos, a political coalition for 2019 national elections, emerged as a winner with 47.37% of the votes. He defeated the current right-wing president, Mauricio Macri. Macri of the Juntos por el Cambio secured second place with 32.3% of the votes. Alberto Fernandez's running mate is former President Cristina Kirchner, who has been the guiding force behind the presidency. After the results were announced, Fernandez addressed the people of Argentina saying, "We did not come to restore a regime, but to create a new Argentina that takes into account the best experiences, that ends with this time of lies, and that gives Argentines a better horizon for the future." The leaders of several social movements and organizations, as well as trade unions, celebrated the success of the Fernandez ticket. Juan Grabois, leader of the left political platform Frente Patria Grande, said that today we had a victory that is a turning point in the struggle of a great homeland for its liberation in the face of the outrageous intervention of all the imperialist powers. Our people are an example of conscience. The Latin American working class is an example of this persistent struggle. We are sure that the freedom of Lula, the freedom of all our America, has come closer with this victory. There has been a groundswell of opposition to Macri, especially over the past few years, when he completely surrendered to the IMF's agenda. Since the beginning of this year, Argentines have been continuously mobilizing against the emptiness of his electoral promises of zero poverty and bringing down inflation. If the results of these primary elections are repeated in the general elections of October 27th, Fernandez will be the new president of Argentina. Now going to Honduras. On August 3, the media network Univision published a report which implicates Honduran President Juan Orlando Hernandez in a conspiracy to use drug trafficking to maintain and increase his political power. The report alleges that the president's 2013 election campaign received $1.5 million from drug trafficking proceeds. The report cites a document published by a federal court in New York on August 2nd related to the upcoming trial of the president's brother Antonio Tony Hernandez, who was arrested in Miami in November 2018 for drug trafficking and other charges. The document does not refer by name to President Hernandez, but mentions co-conspirator 4. The co-conspirator is described as the Honduran president elected in 2013, which can only mean Hernandez. However, Hernandez and his far-right National Party completely denied the accusations. This revelation gave new energy and life to the movement calling for the resignation of Hernandez. While many in Honduras have long suspected the president's involvement with drug traffickers and narco-politics, especially after his brother's arrest, the report provides the confirmation. Massive demonstrations have been held across Honduras in the week since the report was released, and protesters are demanding that the president, the narco-dictator, resign and be tried for his involvement with criminal activities. The Libre Party called on their members and sympathizers to mobilize, and the Platform for the Defense of Health and Education has also joined the call for mobilizations. The protests have been met with a violent crackdown by Honduran security forces. On Tuesday night, riot police repressed students in San Pedro Sula at the National Autonomous University and threw tear gas at them for over an hour. On August 8th, Adrian Pine, a US journalist from Mint Press News, was attacked by Honduran police forces while covering the protests and police repression of students at the National Autonomous University in the capital, Tegucigalpa. On Wednesday, August 7th, communicators from the northern city of San Pedro Sula held a rally to denounce the police repression that journalists and communicators have been facing while covering the protests. Priest and social activist Ismael Moreno, also known as Father Melo, denounced that on August 12th, a vehicle which was the property of the Honduran armed forces was following him and taking photos of him. Moreno has been active in the protests against the president and is one of the organizers of the Convergence Against Continuism, a platform of Honduran social and political organizations that have been mobilizing against Hernandez since the electoral fraud in 2017. Supporters of the president's far-right National Party have also been mobilizing in order to show their support for him. Despite heavy repression, the mobilizations demanding his resignation continue. Since Hernandez was fraudulently re-elected in November 2017, social unrest in Honduras has been constant. The latest was in May and June, where hundreds of thousands mobilized across Honduras against measures that would further privatize the public health and education sectors in the country. The mobilizations channelized the widespread anger and misery felt by many sections of the working class in Honduras that have seen their quality of life deteriorate in the last decade. Some good news finally came on Friday, August 9th, when the sentencing court in Tegucigalpa ordered the conditional release of political prisoners Edwin Espinal and Raul Alvarez. Both have been imprisoned inside the maximum security prison La Tolva for over 18 months. They were arrested during the repression of the protests against the electoral fraud in January 2018. Finally, tens of thousands of protesters hit the streets of Jammu and Kashmir's capital city of Srinagar on Friday, protesting against the Indian government's move of snatching away their autonomy. This major protest took place after the Friday prayers demanding an end to the military siege in Kashmir and calling for the restoration of Article 370 and Article 35A of the Indian Constitution. These articles provided the special status to Jammu and Kashmir. Indian paramilitary forces and police used tear gas and fired pellet guns at protesters. Some live shots were also fired at them. According to reports, 12 people were injured in the police action. Eyewitnesses said that the forces attacked the protesters from two sides, forcing many women and children to jump into the river Jhelum. Last week, one protester lost his life as he was being chased by the police and was forced to jump into the river. The Indian government denied that any protest took place. However, exclusive footage from BBC showed tens of thousands protesting in Srinagar Sora area. The protest comes after a lockdown was imposed by the far-right Indian government headed by the Bharatiya Janata Party as it moved to abrogate Article 370 and bifurcate the state of Jammu and Kashmir into two union territories, areas which are administered directly by the central government instead of a regional government. Under this lockdown, more than 500 political and civil rights activists were arrested and all communication lines were severed, including mobile and landlines. The abrogation, which was done with the presidential decree on August 5, had been condemned as unconstitutional and an attack on Kashmiri people. The decision was taken without any consultation with the people or political forces of Kashmir. Countrywide protests were organized by Indian left parties against the BJP and this move on August 7, when Sitaram Yechury and D. Raja, two left leaders, attempted to visit their comrades in Kashmir. They were detained at the Srinagar airport and forced to return to New Delhi. They had also wished to deliver medicines to their comrade Yusuf Tarigami, who was a state assembly member until the state government was dissolved. Tarigami is reportedly not keeping well and was also put under house arrest along with other Kashmiri leaders. Protests extending solidarity to Kashmiris have been organized in other parts of the world as well, including in cities in the US, UK and Canada. And this is all we have for this episode of Around the World in 8 minutes. For more such stories and videos, visit our website peoplesdispatch.org and follow us on Facebook, Twitter and YouTube.